بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. With all of the Islamophobia and the anti-Muslim stuff, I never thought that things would go back to the way they were after 9/11. I was a small child then, but the knock-on effect lasted right up until I was a teenager. With the wrongful invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan, all the false propaganda, things seemed to have calmed down for a short time, but then things have now flared right back up again since all the Israel stuff. And that's why it's so important for people like you and me to put out the positives of Islam. You can see the full extent of evil that's been committed against our fellow Muslims in Palestine in real time. But on the flip side, you see people who are coming to Islam, they're not susceptible to the propaganda, they're not being ignorant. There are people that are looking into it and actually wanting to learn more about it.
Sinead and I were asked to go and facilitate this Visit My Mosque Day in Leeds to invite ordinary non-Muslim people. We teach people all about how to be in a mosque and what a mosque's all about. We were asked to field the questions and answers at the end. The very first question, a guy at the back of the room, he said, "What do Muslims actually want?" I said, "Thank you very much for your question, sir. It's brilliant." For anybody that didn't hear the question, it was, what do Muslims actually want? So, sir, I can't speak for all Muslims, but I can speak for myself as a Muslim. And the things that I want are these. I want safe streets. I want a growing economy. I want education for my children. And if I'm really honest, what I also want is a season ticket for Manchester United. Now, as soon as I said that, his face changed. And it was like, oh, you want the same things as me. Except I got it wrong, hadn't I, Junaid?
The whole room burst out laughing, and then it was like it sucked the oxygen out of the room when they suddenly realised, hang on a minute, we're in Leeds, we're in Manchester. Yeah, you kind of split the room with that one.
Leeds United's arch enemy is Manchester United.
Yeah.
Somalia. I was just forgetting where I was. When you reduce tension, or when you try to diminish an argument, do it through humour. And do it through in a non-confrontational way. In a way that actually makes perfect sense. And in doing that, I can promise you now that guy will have told everybody down the pub what I said. All of a sudden, he's saying positive things about Muslims and Islam. Whereas before that, he probably didn't.
A lot of their opinions come from far-right culture. People like Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins.
Katie.
I know, and how they're sort of pushing so much hate.
First of all, it's easy to push hate. And if you look at dictators through history, they've maintained control by keeping people scared. And when you're scared, it's easy to be controlled. Because then the people say, hey, listen, I'm the one with the solution. I'm the one that can keep you safe. If I can get everybody to hate a certain populace, it's an easy tactic. We don't argue with people. If you and I are having a discussion and the only way I can win this discussion is to make you lose, then I don't know that that's going to bring us together.
There's a massive audience out there for the guys on Speaker's Corner in London who choose to argue and choose to get into a slanging match. That's not my style. I don't believe that has any real positive impact on people other than those who like to watch people arguing. And these people argue for a living and they do it really well.
And it is entertaining.
My style.
It's entertaining. It gets clicks. You get people, oh, look at this. He made that Christian look stupid. Imagine if somebody had done that to me 22 years ago.
I know.
If I'd have said, oh, so why are you not eating? Hey, you stupid Christian, because I'm Muslim, idiot. You know what I mean? If that was the approach, how do you draw people to you? How do you attract people to the religion?
I agree. It's not going to bring people to Islam if you're arguing with them. And, people like Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, I don't trust those types of people. They're just sort of online brands now, aren't they? They're sort of antagonists with an agenda to make money or gain political favour. I mean, anyone that displays that level of hatred for another race or religion, it's just coming from a very dark place. I mean, obviously, we abide by the law of the countries that we live in, as we're guided to do so in Islam, but none of us own this country. The government is in charge. I think it's pointless when nationalists pick fights with people from different backgrounds, when it's the political class that make all the decisions. I mean, recently, this whole thing's been coming out about two-tier policing, the myth that is insane about how ethnic minority communities are favoured over white people or not.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always been sort of a fear certain distrust of the police because of historical, injustices and attitudes. So the accusation of the police or politicians favouring Muslims or minorities, it's just a ridiculous concept. It's just to push people further away from Islam and to create, like you said, this gap instead of bringing us together.
We have to unify our communities. We have to show people that there's more that unites us than that which divides us. There are so many positives in our communities. We can learn from one another. England is a better place because of its diversity. I truly believe that.
Yes.
I truly believe that it's because we had immigration and because we have a continual inflow of people from around the world. It enriches our society and makes it a more culturally diverse and more interesting place. We can live together. We have done for generations, and there's no reason why it should suddenly stop.
England has been England, and Great Britain has been Great Britain for an awful long time, and Scotland as well. Forgive me. People go, I'm English, English. English. I'm Scottish. I'm proud of being English. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of being a Yorkshireman, but I'm also proud of being Muslim. I'm proud of being a father. I'm proud of being a Sheffield United supporter. There's many things to be proud of, but I wouldn't hate anybody else. Manchester. No. Without just for the sake of it. But you think, okay, we talk about 3 lions on our shirt as an example. I went to school in the 70s, and one thing I learned was that, they're not really indigenous to England, are they, lions? So our symbol of a lion is not English. Our patron saint, Saint George, was Turkish.
It was Turkish.
He was Turkish.
Had he come over a few hundred years later, he would have been Muslim.
Yeah.
I think we should have gone down the route of the Scots. At least when they came to choosing an animal, they went for a fictitious one. I'll tell you what, we'll have what do you call it? Unicorn. We'll have a unicorn. Lions? We're having a unicorn.
Loch Ness monster. Unicorn.
Yeah, they got missing. It's extraordinary. People get so hung up on you're ruining my culture. When you look at the cuisine that we have in this country and the dialects that we have in this country, all of those came from an influx from somewhere.
Just imagine that Tommy Robinson gets his way and Nigel Farage. Send them all home. Well, first of all, this is home.
Where is home? Exactly.
We were born here, therefore they're as entitled to live here as I am.
Yeah.
So you imagine that happens. They are all sent home. Okay. And then you get a group of lads that go out on a Saturday night and have a skinful of ale. And one of them trips up and breaks his leg. So he goes to hospital. Who's he going to see? He's going to see Khalid, the orthopedic surgeon.
Whoa. And how did he get to hospital?
Taxi. SubhanAllah. And on the way home, when they've left him at hospital, they want a kebab, don't they? Who's going to cook their kebab for them? It's going to be Abdul, isn't it? If these people got their way and sent everybody home, this great nation of ours would crumble overnight.
Yeah.
It would not be able to function the following day.
Where do you draw this line? My heritage is Scottish. I don't want to go to Scotland. I want to be forced into Scotland. Where do you draw the line? Anglo-Saxon, the Angles and the Saxons were German and French. When people talk about an Anglo-Saxon heritage, it's the Germans and the French.
My family have been here 5 generations. We've been here a long time. My great-grandfather came here after the war and helped to rebuild the country. We've been here a long time. I've got no family in Pakistan.
Where did Muslims come from? How did they arrive in this country and when did it happen? The rebuilding of the country after the war. England needed unskilled labour to man the foundries and the factories and the mills because they'd lost a lot of people during the war. So they went out to the ex-colonies, and of course they could attract new workers in. With that new worker influx came the religion of Islam. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, and you guys wouldn't be Muslims if you
Alhamdulillah.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah. Had it not been for the work that these so-called unskilled, uneducated people have done, had it not been for what they did in this country, I wouldn't be able to nip down to the local meat shop.
We have a huge debt of gratitude.
I wouldn't be able to do all sorts of things. The amount of gratitude that we owe the likes of your great-grandparents and your grandparents and your parents is unimaginable what they have done and the positive impact that they've had, certainly in my life, because of my ability now to practice my Islam in this country. Alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.